The glass tilted. Scarlet wine spilled over Darius Cole's chest, soaking his shirt in a deliberate act of humiliation. The flight attendant's smirk said it all. "You don't belong here." Gasps erupted. Phones lit up. Passengers thought they were watching a simple dispute over a seat. In seconds, they'd learn the truth. The man they tried to disgrace wasn't just a black passenger. He was the power that could bring the entire airline to its knees. The cabin went silent. Wine dripped from Darius Cole's tailored white shirt onto the plush first-class carpet. A slow, deliberate humiliation poured by lead flight attendant Sarah Whitmore. Her lips curled into a smirk. "Maybe next time you'll book a seat you can actually afford," she said, loud enough for the entire cabin to hear. Phones rose instantly. Passengers whispered. Jessica, the blonde in seat 2A, looked Darius up and down with the smug certainty of someone who believed she knew exactly who he was and who he wasn't. But Darius didn't move, didn't even reach for a napkin. Instead, he looked Sarah dead in the eye. "You have 10 seconds, he said, voice calm but razor sharp, "to call the captain and tell him this flight won't be leaving on schedule." Sarah laughed, a quick, nervous sound masked as mockery. "Is that a threat?" "It's a fact," Darius replied. 8 minutes earlier, he had boarded flight 447 with his confirmed first-class ticket for seat 2A. Jessica Whitmore was already there, sipping champagne. When he politely informed her it was his seat, she waved him off. "First class isn't for economy flyers trying their luck," she said, her eyes scanning him like he was an imposter. Sarah arrived, siding instantly with Jessica. "Sir, there's no need to make a scene. We can seat you in premium economy." Darius produced his boarding pass. Sarah barely glanced at it. "We'll need additional ID," she said, a request she hadn't made of anyone else in the cabin. When he calmly insisted on taking his seat, Sarah's voice sharpened. "Sir, you either move now or I'll have security escort you off the plane." Then came the wine. The tipping point. Back in the present, Darius pulled out his phone, tapped twice and held it to his ear. "Robert, ground the flight. We've got a situation." The smirk on Sarah's face faltered. "And who exactly are you calling?" Darius didn't answer. He was listening to the CEO of Meridian Airlines, Robert Lang, on the other end. "Darius, tell me you're not saying what I think you're saying." "Oh, I'm saying it," Darius replied evenly. "Flight 447, first-class cabin, bias, humiliation, and now assault. You've got crew who think a black man in 2A must be lost. Handle it, or I will." Passengers shifted, realizing this was no ordinary argument. Jessica's champagne glass trembled in her hand. Within 2 minutes, the captain appeared, his face pale. "Mr. Cole, my apologies. We've just been informed." He glanced at Sarah, who was suddenly very interested in the carpet. Darius leaned back. "You should be. My company owns 40% of your airline's operating fleet. And as of this moment, this plane isn't moving until these two," he gestured to Sarah and Jessica, "are removed." The murmurs in the cabin turned into open shock. "Sir, that's highly irregular," the captain stammered. "What's irregular?" Darius cut in. "Is an employee physically assaulting a shareholder and partner. What's irregular is ignoring a valid boarding pass because of your own prejudice. I'll say this once, remove them, or I'll remove every Meridian plane from my leasing roster by morning." Security arrived. Sarah's protests grew shrill. "You can't do this, he's just—" "Just what?" Darius asked, his voice slicing through hers. "A passenger? A black man in first class? Or the man signing the lease agreement on the jet you're standing in?" Jessica was silent now, her face drained of color. As she was escorted out, someone in the cabin started clapping. The sound spread until nearly the entire row of passengers applauded. By the time the plane returned to the gate, the fallout had already begun. Robert Lang himself boarded, shaking Darius's hand. "It's handled. They're suspended, effective immediately." "And Jessica Whitmore? No fly list, permanent." "Good," Darius said, But we're not stopping there. The aftermath. Flight 447 never departed that day. Instead, the airline grounded its entire fleet for mandatory bias and conduct retraining. Sarah was fired within 48 hours. Jessica's name hit the news when footage from multiple passengers went viral. Flight attendant pours wine on black executive, learns he owns the plane. The clip racked up 38 million views in a week. Darius didn't stop at personal vindication. Within a month, he launched the Aviation Equity Alliance, a network of minority-owned aircraft leasing and charter companies, funded with $500 million from his private equity group. Every participating airline adopted a zero-tolerance bias policy, enforced by independent oversight. Meridian Airlines became the first to sign on, not because they wanted to, but because they couldn't afford not to. 6 months later, Darius walked through a hangar in Seattle, inspecting a new Airbus delivery. Reporters followed, still asking about Flight 447. "Do you regret how it happened?" one asked. "No," Darius said plainly. "They handed me the opportunity to fix a problem they refused to see." Sometimes the fastest way to force change is to let arrogance destroy itself, publicly. As he boarded his own Gulfstream to leave, his assistant handed him a note from a young black pilot in training. "Thank you, because of you. I know I belong in any cockpit in the world." Darius smiled faintly. That, more than grounding planes or firing staff, was the real victory. Now tell me, if you were sitting in that seat, what would you have done? Type your city or country in the comments so I know where the real ones are watching from. And if this story lit a fire in you, don't just watch. Hit like, share it so the world sees, and subscribe so you never miss another moment where power shifts and truth wins.